Success in real estate in an ever-changing economy is more than just quick tips and tricks. Welcome to #InvestThis podcast, where you'll gain knowledge from the real estate elite, providing a guaranteed, unfiltered, honest take on what real success looks like in real estate. From technology and trends to strategy and action, #InvestThis podcast will uncover how to break through your capacity to achieve next-level results. Now, please welcome your host and real estate investment expert, Scott Bauer.
Welcome, everybody, to the 64th episode of the #InvestThis podcast. I am your host, Scott Bauer, and today we got another Scott on the call. We got Scott Oots with SJO Investments out of SoCal. Scott, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the call. I think we're going to be able to provide a lot of value for the listeners out there. Why don't you give the listeners a little bit more kind of about your background? I don't really have an intro for you, so let them know, where you come from, what you're doing, and what you're focused on now.
Sure. Great. So I've been primarily wholesaling for almost 5 years now. So based out of Southern California, company name is SJO Investments. So my wife and I are both partners within the business. Originally, both of us products of Sean Terry, started out with his coaching program, went up through masterminds from there, and basically went out from starting our business early 2015, doing just a few deals, to doing 1.5 million our first year in business, hitting about 3.6 last year over about 150 deals roughly. So definitely being in a competitive market as California, very competitive here, competing with realtors, competing with other wholesalers. It's a fun time, but we've been able to kind of crack the market over the years and got our full team in place, basically to the point where I can do things like this while my business is actually running and I don't have to be in the day-to-day operations anymore.
So we're definitely going to talk about all those different pieces, but I want to start from the very beginning. So this is 2015 for you. Were you an agent, realtor, or how did you start?
So for me, I had a business in the cell phone industry, bought phones on eBay, basically fixed them and then resold them. And that business started because I got laid off from a business from a company I worked for in Seattle. That was my cubicle job. And when I had my cubicle job, I hated it, didn't want to be part of it. I hate working for people. I wanted to be my own boss. So when I got laid off, I went ahead and started my cell phone business. Didn't really know it was going to work. That business actually got to almost a little over $4 million a year business, but it was boring as hell. So I always said, if I made money, I don't care what I do. Well, my mentality on that shifted when I had that business. So I said, I've got to do something different. And then my wife was laid off. And I said, you know what, just come work for the cell phone business. We're good. So she went ahead and did that. And she knew I wanted something different. And she actually somehow stumbled across a Sean Terry podcast. And she was like, hey, you got to check this guy out. I watched this guy and I'm like, oh my God, what is he on, man? This guy is he's just going. But it introduced me to wholesaling. And I said, okay, my intention was not to take the wholesaling direction, but to do the fix and flip direction. We started buying some houses at auction, started flipping them. And then I said, you know what? I hate bidding against people. So maybe we'll take the Sean Terry method to use that to actually buy the houses to fix and flip. And then as we started doing it, we were getting so many leads in. I'm like, I can't buy all these houses. I mean, average price in our area is $500,000. You can't go out and just buy 50 of these houses. So basically I said, okay, let's try this wholesale model. And then that's when we started shifting into that. And for us, I mean, it took off pretty quickly. We took our time to get our systems in place, kicked off some Google AdWords. Again, I don't recommend starting with Google AdWords for anybody.
Go broke pretty quick doing that.
That's it, man. It's like you start doing these things and next thing you know, you're like, oh crap, I didn't put a cap on it. I just spent $10,000. It can go so quick. So, I mean, we started to mail some Google, started getting our leads in, locked up our first deal. I think it was like a $4,200 wholesale fee. I was stoked. I'm like, $4,200? This is awesome, right? Locked it up, had no idea what I was doing, had no buyers. Luckily, I got it sold and got the money in on it. But after that, the deals just started coming. And I think it was three and a half months in that we actually hired somebody. So got somebody in the door because I hated acquisitions. I didn't want to be in acquisitions. Dude, if you've ever sat in California traffic, I know you've been here a few times.
Yeah.
Going out from like where I'm at in Corona out to LA. I mean, dude, if you sit in that traffic for like hour and a half going out that direction, you get there and the seller no-shows you. Dude, you just want to egg their house, right? And or if they answer the door and they're like, well, I need the house for 400,000. It's worth 600, and they're like, I want 700. You're like, really, dude? I just sat an hour and a half in traffic to get out here right now, and I got an hour and a half back. You're going to put me pissed off driving back in with thousands of other people on the road? I'm a danger to them right now.
Man, that sounds absolutely horrible. I mean,
it was. It's horrible, dude. And I mean, I know Arizona's got their traffic where you're at, but I mean, nothing like California's got. And it could be 11 o'clock at night and you're sitting at a dead stop. You're like, what are you guys doing? Go to sleep. But I knew I could not do the acquisitions, man. It got me. I was like, I would come home every night just pissed off. My wife would try to talk to me and I'd be like, I don't even want to talk right now. I just sat in traffic for hours. So then I had an idea. You know what? She's answering phones for the business. I'm going to get her one of those Wi-Fi cards. I'm going to put her in the car with me. And I'm going to have her just type away and answer phones in the passenger seat so I can get the carpool lane. I'm like, this is great. Great idea. So she's literally sitting here answering calls while I'm driving, and it saved me time, but it still got to the point where it's not scalable at that point, right? So first hire for me, I'm like, I'm bringing on acquisitions. I'm having someone that actually wants to sit in traffic, go to these appointments. It's such a good feeling. And I mean, you probably know this, as you start hiring and you actually see people performing within your business, there's no other feeling like it. You're like, man, I'm actually growing something here. I'm not just doing a hobby. And to get out of the point of me and my wife doing it and having somebody else actually care. And it's hard to find those people, but to actually find someone that cares and can step in, it's a good feeling. I mean, you know that. You got people in your business too.
Oh, yeah. Actually right now I'm just bringing on an integrator, which I'm really excited about because she's going to bring a lot of value to the table. It's going to be, I think it's going to really open up a lot for the business and allow it to scale. Every business has certain levels it has to get to in order to break through the next ceiling, right? And go to the next level. Yeah. And so I think this is going to be that person that's going to do that for me and my organization. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be, like I said, super excited.
So you're more the visionary in your business then. So you got an integrator that's going to come in and actually put those things in place, the things you vision.
Yeah. Well, I mean, up to this point, I've really had to do both. So the listeners out there listening to this, a lot of companies have one or the other, or you need really both pieces in order to really scale your business and really build the business. And that's somebody that has a vision for it and somebody that can implement that vision. So, right. I mean, that's one of the basic things out there with building a business is you need to have that. And so I've done it all up to this point, but it's really just, it's not scalable. Like you kind of mentioned earlier in the call here. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So what does your organization look like from a people standpoint? You have your acquisitions. How many other people? I've seen your Instagram. You guys got quite the team out there.
Yeah, we've got finally that rockstar team. And I'll make it clear to everyone listening. I mean, it takes time to get to that. We've been through a lot of people to get to the team we have now. So as you start hiring, there's that phrase that a lot of people have heard: slow to hire, quick to fire. If they're not working and you know that you've done everything possible to train them, get them out. Yeah. It just doesn't work. But I don't take hiring people lightly. If I'm going to hire someone, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that they're going to fit in with my organization, because offering someone a job and offering them a salary or a commission, whatever it is, offering them the ability to pay their mortgage, be able to pay for their groceries. I don't want to bring someone in as a test. I hate it when people say, hey, I'm going to hire 3 people and I'm going to fire 2 of them later, because that's someone's life, right? So I always try to make sure that when I hire people, I at least have an idea they're going to fit with the organization. So we've been through a lot of bad people. But as of right now, we've got 4 people on my sales team. 3 are outside sales, 1 is inside sales. But one of the outside guys is also acting as my COO right now. So I'm training him to take over the entire business operations, which will end up leaving me 2 outside and 1 inside. We've got our TC in the office, so she does all of our transactions. We're an escrow state, so she talks to our escrow team. Yep. She's the one that communicates with all of our sellers. Our goal is when our acquisitions team gets the deal, as soon as it's locked up, they push it off to the transaction coordinator. They don't deal with that deal anymore, because now they should be focused ahead. We have Cassie, who answers all of our phones, 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And then we have a VA in the Philippines that does evenings and weekends. My wife's still part of the company. She is more of our integrator. So she likes taking stuff and putting it in place, but she's also kind of our third backup on the phones, any projects that come along. And then we have a couple other businesses I've started lately. So I've got some people in the office working with those businesses. But the team we have, it took a while to get here, but our turnover on our team is 0.
Yep.
So people aren't leaving because we treat people very well and they're paid very well, which means I sacrifice as a business owner, right? Because I may take less money. But I would rather take less money knowing that my team is all here looking for the best interest of the company, not the best interest of themselves. And when they're here, they're making their decisions based on what's good for the company. And that is so hard to find. But just a tip for everybody, every single person that is literally sitting out there right now in my office was in my network. And I heard it for years. Scott, you're in the mastermind. We've been in a mastermind together. That's been said for a long time. Look in your network. And I always looked at it and said, nah, there's nobody in my network. No one in my network I would hire for this position. But now I look back at everyone and I'm like, everyone is in my network, every single person. And it's crazy because every person I've let go in the past has not been, which means everybody that has not been in my network has been let go. And we have such a close-knit team here. I mean, we go out, we do our team outings, we have a great time together. We're friends, but we know when it's business. Yep. And it's crazy when you look at that. I'm like, dude, every person, there's not one person in this office that was not recommended by someone that works here. And when people are recommending people to your company, that shows you're doing something right. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm doing wrong, but that shows you're doing something right. So don't ever forget to look within that network because they're there. It's just, you may not directly know them. Somebody else might know that person. And that's the team we got. And they're all rock stars, some great people. And I wouldn't trade them for anything. I want to save them. I want them to stay here. And I hope they don't leave.
So for the listeners out there, how can somebody go out and leverage their network? I mean, do they just go ask their friends? Do they post on Facebook? Do they post ads out? Where do they go? What do they do?
Mm-hmm. So the most success I have had with it, so we have community Facebook pages, and I didn't even know these existed until a couple of years ago, but like my city has one, so I'm in Corona, they'll have like What's Up Corona, stuff like that. So I'll post my job description on ZipRecruiter and I'll put a link to What's Up Corona. And then I will actually have all my employees go in and share it and say, hey, this is a great company. I'd like for you to work here type of thing. But most times if they have somebody in the network, they always need to let me know who's applying and say, hey, this person applied. I think they would be really good for the position. And then I kind of jump that person to the front of the line before I start doing all these hours of interviews. Because anyone that's interviewed, people applying online, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. You could book 8 hours of interviews, only 2 show up. Another one shows up late, and you literally block out your day for this stuff. And the next thing you know, you've wasted a week and only 4 people have shown up, and all of them, you're like, really? No wonder you don't have a job right now. So it gets bad. So basically I just have them reach out to all their friends, and usually they have somebody in mind, right? I mean, if it's a position, I usually tell people before I even post it, this position's coming up. So if anyone in the office wants to apply for that position, they can. Because I always try to go from within, but usually they just come and say, hey, Scott, I got this person. I think they would be good. Maybe I can't vouch for their work ethic because I've never worked with them, but I think their personality, I hire more on will they fit in with my team before can they do the job, because I can train them the job, but I can't train them to actually give a crap about the team. Right. And everybody in here, like one of my guys went in the hospital. He doesn't have family here. Really, by his hospital bed was me and my entire sales team. He didn't want us there. He was doped up, but we were still there. And we sat next to him the entire time. He had no family here. And we were at that hospital for probably like 6 hours. Hospital couldn't tell us anything because we weren't family. But he went into surgery, and we are literally sitting in his room the entire time. We didn't know how long the surgery was going to be. 6 hours, 8 hours, 2 hours, 30 minutes. But we sat there the entire time. And what other company does something like that, right? They might send flowers.
Right.
Well, he probably would have rather had the flowers than have all of us sitting next to him. But we were sitting there, right? And that's not something that most companies are going to do. And we truly care about each other, man. I care about my employees' families. I want to do things where they can do things with their family. I want to give them time off, because if they're happy outside of work, they're happy inside of work. And that atmosphere is very hard to make. And, we're going to start doing some videos on kind of our team atmosphere a little bit, because I know a lot of people have asked me about it. But for us, it's so exciting to actually come in and actually, you're not avoiding somebody, right? You're actually like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person today. It's everybody that's actually fun. They make the environment a good time. So
they're your friends. Right? They're your friends. And that's a company culture that's tough to find. I mean, it really is. Yeah. How did you wrap your head around building a company like that? Where did you start with that? Because that doesn't just come to everybody. So walk the listeners through how you kind of thought around that or figured that out.
Oh, I really started that out of hate. And the hate was cubicles. I sat in cubicles when I worked at T-Mobile. I sat in cubicles when I worked at other businesses. And literally, I felt like the cubicles just get smaller and smaller and smaller every business you go to. And I hated those, 4-foot high cubicle walls where you're basically sitting in a box all day long. And I couldn't do it. It drove me crazy. I dreaded going to work every single day. At that time, I was living out in Seattle. Every time I had to park at the parking garage, walk to the office, it's pouring down rain. You get there and you're, from your kneecaps down are soaked. Your feet are soaked. And I'm just sitting here going, oh, I can't do this anymore. And I said that, I've got managers micromanaging me all day long. Like, oh, did you do this? Did you do this? It's like, what you want to say to them is, listen, have I ever not gotten something done that you've given to me? And the answer would be no, because I always got it done. Even if I had to stay till 10 o'clock at night, it was done. But why are you micromanaging me then, right? And I said, that's what I need to change in my environment. I will not have a cubicle in my office. I won't do it. I want an open environment. We have music playing in here. We've got a nice sitting area for everyone to sit and just have a conversation if they need to. Everyone's got stand desks. Stand up, sit down, do whatever the hell you want to do. I don't care. But do something to actually enjoy being at work, because no one should dread coming to work. And if you do, you're in the wrong position. 100%. So I built my entire environment over hating the cubicle and the micromanaging atmosphere. I set things up where if people don't get their work done that they're supposed to do, it's very apparent and it's clear. And those people know, because with this business, right? A lead comes in, you get the lead to your sales reps, you either close it or you don't. You're either on follow-up, it goes to the TC. There's a chain that goes along. And if there's a link in that chain that doesn't do their part, what happens? It falls apart.
Falls through the cracks.
Exactly. And every single person out here knows what each person's responsibilities are. And if someone doesn't do something, all that does is make it so the next person can't do their job. So we'll call them out. Well, hey, dude, you didn't do your stuff. Now we can't close this deal. So we make it very clear that, hey, we are a team and every one of us has to do our part. So there's no need to micromanage because they get it done. I mean, we have mistakes. Everybody has mistakes. But there's a difference between mistakes where you attempted to do it, and there's a difference between just not doing it. And not doing it, they know is not acceptable. So they do it. So that environment was so important to me to do. And I basically just set out to do it. And I had cubicles in the first office and I hated them. I had low walls on them, so it wasn't like you were in a box. I even said I wasn't going to do it, but I was like, all right, let's check it out. These guys came in and installed cubicles for me and I hated them immediately. We moved out of the office like 3 months later and I just left them sitting there. I'm like, here you go, landlord, have some cubicles, relax. But now it's so open environment, really nice. It gets a little loud in here. But we have offices for a few of the people that need to have private conversations, but otherwise we got our big bullpen and we have a good time with it.
And that's awesome because everything's transparent, right? So everybody feels like it's an open and honest communication atmosphere, which sounds awesome. My office is it's pretty small. Did you guys rent out your space? Do you rent your space there in California?
We do. We do. I think we're about like 2,200 square feet for our office.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not small. I think we have 6 offices in here and then a conference room and then our open bullpen. But we just moved into this space only like 2 months ago. So it gives us a lot of space to expand with other businesses I'm doing. It's not like we have one business running in here anymore. We actually have multiple businesses. So our SJO side, I mean, we can handle a lot more volume with our current people. So we don't really need to expand that one anytime soon, but the other businesses are where people are starting to come in. So we can probably fit at least another 10 people in here if we needed to. It starts to get tight, but we can make it work. So
that's pretty exciting though. I mean, you guys have gone from just, a couple people to how many total people are in the organization now?
I believe we have 9, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Maybe 10. I could be forgetting someone. I truly care, right? I think 9 or 10. But yeah, it's definitely, it's a good organization. We have fun, but like I said, every organization has challenges. We still have challenges as a company. It's not like everything goes perfect every single day. So I don't know.
What would you say has been the biggest obstacle for you to jump over so far?
For us, it's just encountering new things within deals. So surprises, because you learn new things as you go through certain deals. One of the things that happens in California, and I've heard friends say they haven't experienced this, is people try to sell us houses they don't own. And it's really strange, man. It's like, it's weird. Like I went to a house back when I was doing acquisitions, met with this lady. She walked me through the house. Great lady. She's literally talking to me about, her family did Easter egg hunts back here and telling me stories about everything within the house. I'm like, God, this lady is so nice. She signed my contract. I was like, yes, I got it. And then we started looking at title on the property and we're like, wait, this isn't the lady I met with. So we started doing some research, skip traced the person, called this person, said, hey, do you own this house? And they're like, yeah, I do. Why? And I said, well, I was in it today. Are you aware of that? And they're like, no, what were you doing in my house? I said, well, hold on. I didn't break into your house. I said, this lady showed me through. Here's her name. He's like, what do you mean? And this lady broke into the house, walked me through the entire thing. And she attempted to sell me a house, literally almost like she thought I was going to come with a briefcase and just open it up and be like, hey, here's your cash. Thanks for the house. Have a good day. But we've had a few situations like that where people try to sell us houses and we're like, you don't physically own this house. Luckily we do our research, so we find that stuff out, but that's probably been maybe eight different occurrences since we've been in business. So that's a challenge, and it sucks because those are the ones where you're like, hey, we can make $100,000 wholesale fee on this thing. Of course you can, because they don't own the house. So they just signed it whatever price they wanted.
That's crazy. That's happened 8 times for you guys. I mean, I've got a lot of odd situations, but I've not had that situation yet.
Yeah, see, that's what everyone tells me. They've never encountered it. And I'm like, it's so weird. Because when you go, the person's not always on title, right? Because it could be the property was in a trust. It could be lots of different situations where they inherited a house through a probate. There could be so many different things that come up that we don't want to be like, well, you're not on title, so we're not coming to the house. Because probably, a quarter of the houses we go to, those people aren't on title.
Yep.
Because they're going through a probate or they're doing things like that. So there's really no way to tell until you actually start talking to them and you ask them for all the paperwork. So, yeah.
Crazy, man. That's crazy. So challenges within the organization is a big hurdle you've had to jump through. What about marketing? I mean, you're in Southern California. That's a crazy, there's no deals there, right? So
right.
How are you going out there to find those? Is a multitude of different marketing channels, or which way are you going?
Yeah. So for me, I hate putting all my eggs in one basket. So, direct mail has been really good for us. We do a lot of direct mail. As everyone always jumps to the new shiny light, remember when RVM came out, it was the new best thing. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I have to be on RVM. So they stopped mailing and they went to RVM. Text came out. They stopped RVM and they went to text. So when you start looking at all those things, everyone's jumping to the next level. And I've always stayed behind because guess what? As I'm sending in their 60 postcards that arrive at a seller's mailbox, now they've left. So now we have potentially 10 postcards in that mailbox and one of them are mine. Yes. So mail is working fantastic for me. I love it. And we're getting a ton of deals from it. Text is a good one as well for us. It's newer. Now it's got released to the masses. We've been doing it for a little bit longer, beta testing some stuff. And as we were doing it previously, the deals were just flowing in. And now everyone's starting to learn about it. So there's that level of saturation that's starting to kind of take place. But for us, it's still working. We want to make sure that we are continuing to do new things, but also going to the things that people are leaving. So as everyone starts leaving text, in a year from now, when the next best thing comes out, text is going to blow up again. So I've always stayed the level behind, not the level ahead, just because I wait for them to leave those things. And don't follow the shiny light, I guess, is my advice to everyone. Just because one of those gurus out there says this is the next thing. Yeah, great. It is the next thing for a lot of people, but is it the thing for you? Don't stop something that's working just to try to jump to the next thing in line and say, hey, you know what? Hey, this person says it's great. He was standing by his, expensive car, so it must work for him. So I need to go ahead and go do this thing, right? And I hate that mentality. Everyone looks at these people standing by their expensive cars and says, I want what they have, so I need to do exactly what they're doing. So don't do it. Don't follow that mentality.
Yeah, man. I believe in the exact same thing. Direct mail for me has been a phenomenal marketing channel. My ROI is much, much greater on that than all of the other marketing channels. We're using, is it Shapiro? The guy out of Denver that was doing text, started the text organization.
Oh, Sherpa. Yeah. So Jason Nickel. So Jason Nickel has Sherpa. Sherpa is a great texting software. Yeah. He says it's a legal texting software. So that's the thing is, like RVMs, let's be honest, that's borderline. So people I've known have started to get hit from that. So you got to be careful with RVMs. You have to be careful with text too, because there's so many text systems out there. Like there's Roar out there. You can go send 50,000 at once if you want to. But guess what? You got to be very careful because that's the next crackdown that's going to start coming. Yeah. Jason's system, he claims it to be compliant. And part of it is you click to send every message. So think of, you grab your cell phone and you say, hey, I'm going to send over a message to Scott, right? So I go to send you a message and I click send. So Jason's system, you click send on every message. So it's actually kicked off by the person that's doing this system. So basically that small thing helps make it compliant. So the system's worked well for us. Yeah, you're not going to send 50,000 in a day. But if you get nabbed and you start getting fined, you have a better case to push back and be like, hey, I manually sent each one of these messages. So it should fall within those guidelines, but there is that gray area. There's risk with everything, but the systems work well for me. I mean, I suggest people checking it out. It's a good system, really good. He's starting to get a lot of users on board. I know he limits it per area. I don't know how many people. So I know he's definitely getting a lot of users signed up because I'm in the Facebook group for that as well. And I'm starting to see a lot of people getting added to it. So I know his system's definitely starting to get popular.
I talked to him right when he was launching it out. It was actually, I think it was last year or the year before, right? No, it was last year. Actually, after John Martinez sales training opportunity. And it was, it was a cool system, but I didn't pull the trigger. At the time, I didn't have enough staff to really deal with it. So you need to have somebody that's dedicated to that. But anyway.
Yeah. And I actually hired someone in-house for it. So I actually have someone that literally sits out here. I mean, if you post a job description and say, hey, do you like to text?
Yeah.
Can you imagine like the response you're going to get on that versus, hey, do you like to run data?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get all these millennials out there that are just sitting here the whole time like this on their phones. Do you like to text? Because I got a job where you can text all day long. That's a very easy job to hire for. But you have to teach them the sales side too, because the person has to be able to actually talk to the people. Because the people you send them a text, they call you. I mean, that phone will ring off the hook.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something where you got to have somebody more than just someone that likes to text. You got to teach them that sales side so they can at least start the conversations and then pass it off to your inside sales team. So they do, I mean, we bring in a lot from that. So I highly recommend it.
Cool. Appreciate you sharing that. So you guys primarily wholesale now. Are you doing anything else?
Primarily wholesale. We've looked at getting into stuff like Airbnb, that type of stuff as well. Yeah. But the wholesale model is working so good for us right now that we're sticking with that at this point. We are going to do some market expansions kind of outside of California a little bit. So we're going to start doing some of that stuff. By the end of the year, we'll probably have a new market up and running, just kind of narrowing that down.
Yeah.
But that's kind of our next step with it. But we'll eventually do some other stuff. My team is so good at this wholesale side and so good at negotiating with sellers. I mean, we got Mike on my team here, and he brings in 6-figure spreads over and over and over again on wholesale deals. We just closed $155,000 wholesale spread that just came into our bank account this week.
That's massive.
Yeah. So when we look at that and say, okay, I can get $155,000 wholesale spread, and he brings in so many of those type of things. Well, I mean, it works well. Why try to do what we're not good at right now? Just stick with what we're good at and then start slowly throwing the other things in. So
100%. 100%. I totally agree with that. You can go and try to do everything in every way to make money, and then you'll make no money, right? So you guys have really locked down the fact that you're good at what you're doing. You're staying in your own lane and getting it done. So I love to hear that. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I mean, for me, like I said, I started some other businesses. So I started pulling out of my real estate business. I still am in touch with it. I'm still part of the operations as far as I know what's going on. I can train people, hire people. But I'm able to kind of go into some of these other things. And for me, I love starting businesses. I love taking them from the ground and bringing them up. I love rescuing businesses. I like the operation side of things. So I kind of got into like an opening business almost rampage, and I opened a few of them at once, and then they're all kind of starting to work out. So we're a little busy right now. We're trying to figure out how we're going to run all this within our office, but it's exciting. So for me, I want to keep doing that. I want to have, well, really the freedom everybody wants, right? I mean, I want to be able to go on vacation and know that I'm coming back with more money in my account than when I left, that my business doesn't just sit here the whole time. So that's ultimately my goal, man. I want to have enough residual income coming in. I want to be able to know that I can live the rest of my life on stuff. And it's never a guarantee, but I don't want to, there's a good friend of mine, Haim, he's in my mastermind, and he always says, collect memories, not things.
Right.
And it's so important. And he's got that as a hashtag on Instagram. And I started kind of posting that too. It's so important because everyone gets so wrapped up in their day-to-day operations. I have to run my business. I have to do this. I've got to do this next thing. And you got your priority list. Dude, I literally have my priority list right here. And it's long, but I delegate a lot of that stuff off that's on the list. But you will never regret spending time with family, spending time, doing things like that. Go on a vacation. I literally took my family on a cruise in December. Like, let's go and have fun. Like my wife and I to go to a Caribbean destination and just chill on the beach, have a drink, do something that you want to do, because you never know how long life is. I mean, we look at a lot of things that I've talked to some people about, but we were at Route 91 a couple of years ago when that shooting occurred. And when we look at that, dude, you don't know how long you have in life. I look at that and that changed my life dramatically. I'm like, we're just sitting here listening to a concert on the Las Vegas Strip, and some idiot starts shooting hundreds of rounds into people,
That's
people
so
dying.
man.
I mean, dude, like that, you look at it and you say, how much time do I actually have left? That could have been it. That could have been it for me, because so many people died that night. People were injured. And you look at it and you say, what have I done to say that if that was my night and I went away that night, did I accomplish what I wanted to? But did I also make the memories that I wanted to make? And the answer to me, I'm like, no, I haven't gotten anywhere where I want to be yet. I want to do so much more in life. I want to see things. I want to go travel and have fun. And that put things into perspective for me. I'm like, I got to get out there. I got to do some other things. And so since that moment, my why, everyone talks about your why in the business, right? Mm-hmm. My why shifted. I said, I need to do something completely different than what I've been doing. And I need to get out there and experience more. And even if that means I don't make as much money in my business, who cares? I mean, what are you going to do with money when you die? You're going to leave your money to someone else? I mean, get something going that you can be proud of and you feel accomplished with, but you can also go out and enjoy your life with. And I want to travel and have a great time. That's where I want to be.
Dude, amen to that. I couldn't agree with you more. That's why we're in this business, right? That's why we started a business. That's why we do what we do, is to have that time freedom back. Time is the one commodity we don't know how long it's going to run for, right? So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can't agree with you more. I'm excited to connect more about that in the future. So I think that's a good segue. Just keep track of time here for our lightning round. Are you ready for a lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right, man. So first one, 5 questions here. What is your hashtag invest this tip? If you can give them one to our listeners, keep them moving forward.
Ultimately, just do it. Stop sitting and watching videos. Stop thinking that you need to analyze stuff. Stop having analysis paralysis and just get the hell out there and knock on doors. Get people to tell you no. Get doors slammed in your face. Just get out there, because every no gets you closer to a yes. Stop over analyzing stuff. That's ultimately what I'd give the advice to.
Huge tip, man. Appreciate that. What about, have you had a very impactful book that you've read, or something that has had a big impact in your life?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't read a whole lot. I'll be honest. I try to do the audiobooks, but sometimes I feel like my mind just runs while I'm listening to it. I was on a plane listening to the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Yep. And that book just resonated with me. I was like, this book is me. And of course, I was having some drinks while I was sitting on the plane. So, I remember the majority of the book, but certain things stuck with me. I just said, you know what? That's what I need to get to. I have a tendency to over care on a lot of stuff. Yep. And I have to say, okay, I can't change that, right? I just need to move forward. And it comes down to just taking action and moving forward with it. But, a lot of my friends have read Traction, and I need to get on. I have the book literally sitting on my shelf, and I need to read it because I heard how good that book was. So that's kind of my next one to get into. But for me, I used to read books all the time as a kid, and then I got out of it. And I was like, I need to get myself back into that. So that is one of my personal goals this year, is to get back into just reading books.
Dude, it's hard, man. So what I do is I say, I'm going to read 10 pages a day, or I'm going to read 20 pages a day, because when you break it down to 20 pages a day or 10 pages a day, that's not that much. Mm-hmm. Or even just I'm going to read for 10 minutes. You'd be amazed what you can accomplish that amount of time. But regardless, off the subject, I appreciate you sharing that tip. Who's given you the best advice that you've had so far? What was that, and who gave it to you?
I'd probably go back to my time with like Sean Terry, right? So I have a tendency to get into that overanalyzing thing, or at least I used to. And, he used to always tell me, like, just do it. Just do it. You fail, you fail. So he said that to me at one point, and I was like, you know what? That's a good point. Like, I was always so afraid of failing that I took time to do, like, I took too much time on something. Mm-hmm. And I said, I've got to just do it. And that's how that resonated with me, because he was like, just do it, man. What are you waiting for? So that pushed me forward, and it really kind of helped drive me. Even to this day, I respect the hell out of Sean. Great guy. He's one of the real people out in the industry. You know him as well. Oh yeah. And he really impacted me by just telling me, hey, do it. Stop screwing around. Just, you fail, you fail. It is what it is. So,
everybody, I think, suffers from that, though, right? Everybody has a little bit of overthinking in their thoughts. I know the listeners listening to this podcast probably suffer from the same thing. We all do, right? Mm-hmm. So, you're not the first person to give that tip, and I think that just gives it so much more power, because that's what you have to do. You got to just go do it, take the step forward. If you fail, make sure you fail forward, and that's how you'll eventually, you get enough no's, you're going to get to a yes type thing. So,
yeah, that's exactly it.
How do you like to get back, Scott?
So for me, I got into kind of teaching more. So I like doing things like this and try to help people that were in the situation I was in previously. I just spoke at We Live 19 with Max Maxwell. We kind of headlined that event. Gary Vee was there. Awesome time. I like looking at people that were in the position that I was in previously and saying, how do I help them make money? How do I help them not worry about paying for a bill? And I have a lot of passion in the teaching side of it. So Max and I just partnered. We started our own mastermind to try to help people get going in the business. It's just doing things to try to help people get going, because I have such a passion for this business and such a passion for helping people do things. I have my meetup group. We got like almost 500 people in that group. So just kind of spending time and try to help people get to that next level. Of course, I'm not going to pretend like I'm something I'm not, right? I don't know everything. I learn from them as well. But It's so fun to go out there and see some of the things that seem so simple to me now, how challenging they were in the beginning, and standing up on that stage. I mean, he had almost 1,200 people at that event, and standing up on stage in front of all those people and helping them, giving them that one nugget that they've been struggling with that you don't know. I mean, to you, it's just something simple. But to them, they're like, holy crap. I threw out RGA at that event, revenue generating activities. And people are like, what is that? And I've had people reach out to me like, holy crap, I started just really focusing on the things to bring in revenue, and now I'm closing deals. I love to see that stuff. So I have a real passion for doing it and kind of doing what I can to try to help people out. So
I love it, man. I love it. And that kind of leads us into our last question, which is, how can the listeners reach you? If they want to learn more about everything that you bring to the table, maybe attend one of your events, maybe get some coaching or something from you, where can they find you?
So they can check me out on Instagram at the Scott Oots. Last name is OOTS because everyone always misspells it. You can also pull up that same one on Facebook as well for my Facebook business page. So find me on there. Our mastermind is Wholesale Elite Mastermind. You can go to the website for that. Check that out as well. Pretty new. We got our first round of the mastermind meetings coming up in June. So that'll be a lot of fun. We've basically had that business active about 2 weeks, and it's been selling quite a bit. So I'm excited to see how we can help those people kind of go from starting to hopefully that millionaire level. Reach out to me on those things. And, we're going to start some YouTube videos. I committed at not this event I was just at, but one 6 months ago, and I still haven't done it. So right next to me, I got a full studio set up. So we're going to start doing some YouTube videos, but we're going to focus more on how my team is. We're going to have some of my team on the videos, how we do things, how we train our team, versus the standard just video. We want to walk through houses we've done, show the repair estimates we do. So we're going to start doing things like that on YouTube. That was my promise to people 6 months ago. Finally got everything set up. So we're going to start here pretty soon. Just got to find the time to do it.
Hey, man, I totally get it. Yeah, I appreciate you being here today. We shared a ton of information about your business structure, about mindset, about direction, about getting out there and just doing it, right? Nike hit it on the head on that. Gosh, what a great saying. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to staying in touch with you, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
All right, Scott. Thanks, man. See ya.
For more ways to connect to your host, be sure to reach out to Scott on social media at Scott Bauer to suggest topics and guests you'd like to see on the show. Take a visit to hbsbholdings.com for additional insights and resources to achieve real success from the real estate elite. That's hbsbholdings.com.